Welcome back. Today is day 1 of our 100 Days of Generative Art. This is a series inspired by ArtBlocks.io, which is a generative art project built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. Let's see if we can load a piece of art while we're waiting. Oh yeah, so here it is. So this piece of art is generative, meaning it was created both with an artist and autonomous tools. Official definition: generative art refers to art that, in whole or in part, has been created with the use of an autonomous system. An autonomous system in this context is generally one that is non-human and can independently determine features of an artwork that would otherwise require decisions made directly by an artist. So you might ask, okay, well, what does that mean? One, this piece of art updates with an autonomous system and I can control it with my mouse. Two, each time this piece of art is rendered, it is rendered with a bunch of new features such that they can generate 750 variations of this piece of art. So every time I refresh it, you'll notice that colors are changed, some of the shapes are changed. There are features inside of this piece of art that get updated, not by an actual artist, but by an algorithm. We'll refresh it one more time. Given a little bit more backstory behind ArtBlocks, so you can see the color was changed, the shape was changed, the planet was changed, etc. The placement of the sun was changed. ArtBlocks was initially created by this guy, Eric Snowfro, also known on Twitter as Art on Blockchain. So he created this entire platform. It's really cool generative art on the blockchain. They only mint a certain number of pieces of each piece of art. And once they're bought, they can then be repurchased on the OpenSea market. We have 6 steps that we're going to be going through today. Step 1, we're going to generate a piece of generative art using the P5.js library. Step 2, we're going to set up our code base. Step 3, we're going to set up Polygon, which is the blockchain we're going to be deploying to. 4, we're going to set up our smart contract. Step 5, we're going to test our smart contract. And step 6, we're going to mint our NFT. This is day 1. We're going to be doing this for a long time, so stay tuned and see how our art grows. Step 1, let's generate a piece of generative art. We're going to make it super simple. We're just going to start with this basic P5 example. So I'm going to remix this simple circle glitch. Remix it so that I can edit it. Okay, and the only things I'm going to change are a couple of the colors. We've got a background of black and then a fill of white. So I'm going to change these with some attributes I've got from the Voice First logo. I'm going to change the color of the circle to that. And then I'm going to change the background to the same color as our logo background. I could do more, and when I was playing around with this on my own, I did do more, but for now I want to keep this very simple because there's a lot of other stuff we want to get into today. So boom, we've just generated a piece of generative art. A lot of this was done without me. And you know what? One more thing that we're going to do is we're going to set this equal to a random value. And then we're going to no loop. So that we don't get that. There we go. So now each time we render the image, we now get a different size that's randomly generated by this random function. I want to have the image about this size, so we now have our piece of generative art. Step 1, complete. We've generated a piece of art. Now we're going to get into the main work of what we're going to do today. We're going to try to publish this on the blockchain as an NFT. Step 2, we're going to get into the code setup. To go with our code, we have a tutorial published by the Pinata team, which Pinata is the easiest way to use IPFS. The link to this tutorial is in the description of this video, so if you want to follow along, you can just click on the link and you can see how it's done. They're using Hardhat. We're going to be using Truffle. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our directory where our project's actually going to live. So we're going to make a new directory called 100 Days of Generative Art. CD 100 Days of Generative Art. Okay, we've now made our directory. Changing that directory, now let's initialize a new Hardhat sample project. Okay, I'm going to, instead of they are installing Hardhat, I'm just going to run truffle init, which creates a new truffle project. Okay, we can now see inside of our project we have multiple folders. We have a contracts folder, a migrations folder, and a test folder, as well as a truffleconfig.js. I'm going to open this up in my code editor with the command code./. I'm going to close out my other code editor so that I don't get distracted. All right. So we can see again, we've got 3 folders, a migrations, a test folder, and a contracts folder. Inside of the contracts is where all of our Solidity contracts are kept. Inside of our migrations folder is where we're actually deploying our smart contracts to the blockchain. Inside of our test folder is where we can put our tests that we can test our smart contracts with before we deploy them. And inside of our truffle config is where we're actually going to set up our networks to be able to deploy to. We should have a directory that looks like this. We do have the similar directory because we've used a sample project. We have 3 contracts folders, scripts, blah, blah, blah. Okay. We have now set up our code. Step 2 done. Step 1, we created a piece of generative art right here. Step 2, we've set up our code base. We've got the 3 folders in our truffle config. That's done. Step 3, we're going to set up Polygon. Polygon is the blockchain we're going to be publishing to. The reason we're picking Polygon is the gas fees are much lower. Polygon, if you're not already aware, Polygon is a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. So it ends up using Ethereum as the settlement layer, but it minimizes our gas fees so that we can deploy and play around with much lower cost to entry. So again, we're now setting up our Polygon stuff. So we're going to need some Matic tokens. First thing you want to do is make sure you have an Ethereum wallet. I already have MetaMask installed on my computer. If you don't have MetaMask, you'll want to just get it. It's free, and it's kind of the industry standard for a wallet that's built into your browser. It's a gateway to blockchain apps. Simply go to MetaMask's website. If you already have a wallet, you can skip. Once you've created the wallet, you'll need to get your private key. Okay, now I'm going to be sharing my private key in this video because I have a test account that I've set up inside of MetaMask. I do not recommend sharing your private key info. The only reason I'm sharing this info is because this is in a test wallet that I only use for testing, and I share this. I don't keep any actual tokens in this wallet. But you'll want to make sure that you're not sharing any private information. This key will be necessary. In the MetaMask extension, you can export your private key by clicking the 3-dot menu next to your wallet. I think it's probably account details. And we want to export the private key. Okay, so we're going to download our private key. Account details, export the private key. We will confirm. Okay, we've now got our private key. Again, this is something you should never share with anybody. We're only sharing it for testing purposes. Don't do what I'm doing right now. Okay, so now that we've got this file, I'm going to copy it. Now we want to create a file env in the root of our project. So I will do that by saying touch.env. We now have an .env file, which we can view right here. What's next? Okay, we create a file, the root, add this to it, private key. Okay, So we'll say all caps private underscore key equals just the string. And then in your project skid ignore, you can add a line that says that. This will ensure you don't actually commit it. We're fine for now. Because we're using an environment variable, we're going to need to install another dependency into your project to make it easier to work with these variables. Run the following command from the root of your project directory. Now I don't have a package.json, so I think I want to go npm init. We now have a package.json, so I can paste our .env. We now have a node modules folder and a package lock. Now let's get some Matic tokens from the testnet. We'll head over to the testnet faucet, and then we'll paste our wallet address, select Matic token, and the network will have Mumbai. We got Matic token, that's what we want. We want the Mumbai testnet. Now all I got to do is copy my wallet address, paste it there, and submit. Did we get it? Oh, I need to confirm. Looks like it might have been successful. We now have 0.1 Matic Mumbai. So we've just added some crypto to our wallet from a faucet. When you submit, ask to confirm, we'll have Matic tokens. Now let's update our config.js so it knows we're using the Polygon network. At the top of the file, above the first require statement, add. Okay. So now we're going to save this, and we're going to go into our truffle config. I'm going to take everything, and I'm just going to paste that. Then we get our private key. We want the .env package to pull in our environment variables. The second line is creating a variable that references the environment variable we stored. Next, we'll want to find the module.exports object in the file. It'll likely contain a definition of Solidity version. Let's replace all of that module.exports code with this info. So now we've got a default network. Our networks are not going to be hard hat, they'll be truffle. I'm not sure if this is configured right, we'll find out later. It's really not as bad as it seems. We're telling hard hat that we're using Polygon. Let's look up truffle config Mumbai Polygon. Okay, new config file. Let's find truffle config.polygon.js. Mnemonic Infura. Oh, there's a lot of stuff. This is a lot of stuff. I just want a simple I'm currently wondering if we made the wrong decision. Looks like this is how they recommend we do it. It says it should be as simple as running this, but I'm not sure it will be that simple. We're going to save this and try it just to see what happens. Had a feeling. Okay, so we're missing the truffle stuff, so we want to just run npm I've already installed truffle globally, but we'll do it again. It'll probably give us a permission denied because on my computer I need on my computer I need to give it elevated root access. But we'll see. I'm sure it's going to give me a permission denied. What do we want to do here? Maybe I should have just followed the tutorial exactly. How are we feeling? Do we like what's going on with truffle? Yeah, we got permission denied. Let's just try installing truffle locally instead of globally. And I could have even just used the exact module that we're missing. So if it's still missing, I'm going to just install the module that we're missing. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to go back and use hardhat. I would hate to use hardhat, but it would be better to just get it to work than to keep struggling. We want to make this as simple as possible, and maybe I'm trying to tweak too many variables on the first time we deploy. Should be almost done. Again, I wish I could pause the stream. Wish I could pause it so that everyone doesn't have to just sit here and wait. But you can't pause the stream. If I wanted to do that, I'd have to record. But recording means I've got to edit it and then upload, and I'd rather just put it all live. Just put it out there live. Coming to you live from Thailand. How are we doing? How much would it take to get the truff or the hard hat info in there? Might be fairly simple, honestly. We'll probably end up just using hard hat to simplify this. What's going on? Are we just sitting here? I don't want to crash it, so I'm just going to breathe and take 10 deep breaths. There we go. Okay. What was the command we were trying? Let's try truffle version. See if it works. Should work because we've got the global CLI installed. Seriously. Okay. We didn't even get that to work. So I'm gonna just follow the tutorial exactly so that we can have less interruptions. I'm gonna go out. I'm going to copy this name. I'm gonna remove -R100. We're gonna delete the entire project. Should have been a very simple command, but I guess it took a little more than I thought. Okay. We're going to create the folder again. We're going to then go into it. Okay. Now we're back. Let's start back up with the project. So we're going to install some of these packages. And that should then set up hard hat. So now we just wait while hard hat gets set up. Okay, once we do that, have we already caught up? We've caught up. So it really didn't add that much time. I should have just followed it from the start. Choose the sample project options. And then all the default. Okay. Accept all the default options. Once the process is complete, you'll have new files in your project folder. So while this is installing, I'm going to check out what hard hat is. Hard hat Ethereum development environment for professionals. Interesting. Hard hat versus truffle. Because I've seen truffle everywhere. Looks like there's a lot. So let's see how we're doing. We're still installing. That was a cool piece of generative art. I don't know if it's generative. It might have just been hard-coded, but it's nice to see algorithms spitting out stuff that looks pretty cool. Let's close out of some of these tabs. Gonna take 3 deep breaths. All right, let's open up our code editor. Now we've got the contract scripts, tests, node modules, all that other good stuff. Okay, setting up Polygon. Okay, now we need touch.env. Now we should have an env file. We do. So now we want to set private key equal to exported private key. And let's go back to MetaMask to get that. Go back to MetaMask. Account details, export the private key, paste it, confirm, copy that. Okay. And then gitignore, add a line that says env, gitignore dot env, save that, git status. It's a gitignore, but git status doesn't do anything right now. Okay. Now because we're using an environment variable, we're going to want to install .env. Now let's get some Matic. We've already done that step where we got the Matic, so now we want to update hardhat.config.js. Let's look at hardhat.config.js. We're just going to paste this in and ignore everything else. And now we want to take all of this. Now we're exporting everything we need. Before we do anything else, it'd be good to test our configuration. Let's deploy contract to the Polygon testnet. Okay, let's see if we can deploy something. Project cannot be compiled. See reasons below. The Solidity version statement in these files don't match any of the configured compilers in your config. Change the pragma. Okay. Let's use 0.8.0. It looks like we've got the most up-to-date. Hardhat. Okay, let's go back to hardhat config. Okay, 0.8.0. That should be all we need to do. Okay, we're downloading the Solidity compiler. Looks like we're doing better already. We've compiled 2 files, compiled them successfully. Cannot read property get contract factory of undefined from our sample script.js. Get contract factory. HRE is hardhat, ether is get contract factory, greeter. Do I need to import? Was that the issue? Did I just need to do that? Unexpected identifier. If this doesn't work, cannot read get contract factory of undefined. Let's see if there's an easy solution to this that we can find in a quick Google search. Nothing easy.
It's 5 minutes.
Closed? Okay.
Yeah.
Kapung kap. Okay, so maybe we just needed to keep our hard hat wallet there. It's the last thing we're going to do. I'm getting kicked out. Artifact for contract. Okay, we're making progress. I'm going to get rid of this. Save it. Fingers crossed. Boom. We have now deployed it to Polygon. Let's check out Polygon scan and see if we can find it. Boom, and here's our contract deployed on Mumbai, publicly viewable. I'm going to tweet this out. And then we're going to head out of here for the day. So we were able to get, I'll tweet this and then boom. Boom. Okay, so we have now finished, we've finished generative art. We've created a piece of generative art right here. We then set up our code base and we've correctly configured Polygon. The last 2 steps, the last 3 steps, so I guess we're halfway, the last 3 things we need to do. So when we come back next time, we're going to actually get the smart contract all set up. After the smart contract, we're going to test it. And after we test it, we're going to mint our NFT. If you have any questions so far, please let me know. Otherwise, this is Sweets, signing off.